Ian, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So I like to ask everyone this today. How does it feel to talk about a show on a press day that you can't really talk that much about?
Uh, I've gotten used to it. I like it because it's a little bit I can't wait to see what people think. I
Hmm.
can't wait for them to be surprised. So I kind of like it. It makes conversation you kind of, a little bit more circuitous, but I enjoy it actually.
That's so cool. And so you guys were at San Diego Comic Con. I know you guys are here at Fantastic Fest. And so you've been slowly kind of like talking more and more about Teacup and getting it out. How is it for you now that you're at the point where it's going to start premiering and people are going to see the show and it's not like the lead up anymore?
It's a strange feeling because yesterday we premiered the first two episodes, and it's the first time I've seen episodes where I didn't have anything to do, meaning there's no more fixing, there's no more changing, there's no more color correction, there's no more VFX, there's no more score, there's no more changes. So it was the first time I sat there and was able to watch it. And it took me most of the first episode before I was able to watch it as an audience member, as opposed to someone who's trying to change things to make sure something's clear or to make sure something hits or
Mhm.
something looks exactly the way we wanted it to. So it's interesting. It's been such hard work, the best work I've ever like. It's been really hard work, but I've had the best time I've ever had in my career, uh, and probably in my life. But it's strange to not have anything to do. Just wait
Mhm.
for people to see the next episode. So it's good, but it's just a shift, you know.
Yeah. When I know this is the adaptation, but it's very different from the source material. I like that we live in an era of like horror adaptations in particular, because like we have a Salem's Lot coming out, and it's like everyone kind of takes their idea of these stories and makes it their own. When you do that with something and make it so different and kind of like just build on the idea of what the book was doing and make it kind of yours version of that, it does that make it more daunting because you know that people who love that book might look at it a certain way, or is it freeing because you're like, this is different, you get to just enjoy this as its own thing?
Well, I think it's both things. It's both daunting and freeing. I don't really have any control over the people who watch it, audience members who love the book and don't want anyone to change a word. I can't really control their reaction to it. The only thing I can control is whether James Wan and his company bought into my idea of changing it so drastically, and the author of the book, Robert McCammon, that he bought into the idea. And both all three, Atomic Monster, James, and Robert McCammon, they love it. And that's what I can control. You know, once I made the decision to change it so drastically, it all made sense to me. And that's important to me. And I can't write it if it doesn't make sense to me. Uh, but once I did that, I can't worry about what other people think. I just have to do what I think is true to the story and what works. And as long as McCammon and Mr. Wan were on board and supportive and believed in it, then you kind of have to just run and jump off that cliff, you know?
Yeah, and when you get to tell a story that does go kind of off the rails, was there something that you wrote in your script that you were like, there's no way they're gonna let me do this thing? And then then you got to production and they like built whatever that thing was, and then you got to the and you're like, okay, so somehow this thing I thought I was never getting in a
Hmm.
show ended up the end product. Do you have that in Teacup? And if so, how did it feel like continually being like, no, there's no way until it was in the show that you were watching?
I would say yes and no. The idea of thinking there's no way they're going to do this, I think would have gotten in my way. What I thought was they're going to let me do this, and somebody is going to see this idea and make it a little bit better than my idea. And all along the way, it got better and better and better because I wrote something, and then someone I don't want to be too spoilery, but like there's a body horror aspect, and I wrote something, and then the production designer came on board, and we talked about things, and she made it better. And the director of episodes 1 and 2, he came in and he made things better. Then the practical effects company K&B came in, and everyone kept building on the idea, and it got better and better and better. And what we ended up with, and no joke, is far better than what I wrote on the page. And that's the way it should be. And that's, half my job is recognizing, isn't necessarily doing writing the end result. It's writing something and being able to recognize what makes it better and what would make it worse. And we ended up with things that I think far surpassed my expectations across the board. So.
But yeah, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. So thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Oh, that was good talking to you. So short. All right. Bye. Thank you
Have a
so
great
much.
one.